So, chances are, if you have even a passing interest in JRPGs, you've heard of this little series by the name of Persona. Yes, it seems that Atlus has found the proverbial cash cow in this series, as you can't swing an anthropomorphic cat without hitting a spin-off, side game, or remake of Persona 3, 4, or 5.
And it's not hard to see why. All three games' plot, gameplay, and characters especially have received high praise from many a fan. With so many people wanting to see more of these great characters in the worlds they live in, Atlus was more than happy to give us an expanded universe. But, for many a fan, one question still hangs in the air. Sir?
Yes, little boy in the front row.
You said 3, 4, or 5 earlier? I was just wondering about the games that came before that.
Ones that came before it. I'm not sure what you're talking about, boy.
Well, if it's Persona 3, then surely there's a 2 that came before that.
Detention!
Yes, despite the series' ever-growing popularity, it seems that for every new installment, the older entries get that much more obscure. But why exactly is that?
Despite hours of searching, I could not find a single Etrian Odyssey ripoff or fighting game for the series. Heck, I couldn't even find a rhythm game. That is until I came across the original game, Persona 2. And Persona 1, but we don't really talk about that one. Persona 2, originally released in Japan in 1999, didn't see an American release until 2011, when a remake for the PSP was made and brought here. If you haven't actually played the game, you may recognize it as that one game your obnoxious friend called an underrated classic that did away with that fanservice-y bullshit they brought in the later games. Or that one game your Shin Megami Tensei playing friend claims still isn't dark enough. Despite the second game involving an insane man with a bag on his head wielding a machete who stabs and possibly eats people. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Today, what I want to talk about is the first of 2 Persona 2s, Persona 2, Innocent Sin. The game opens with a young man working on his motorcycle. This is Tatsuya, our protagonist, most notable by his Jonathan Taylor Thomas haircut and his Michael Winslow impersonation.
Close your eyes.
He, like all Persona protagonists, suffers from an inability to talk outside of combat and dialogue boxes. However, this comes with the benefit of making him irresistible to anyone he comes in contact with, as shown by just about every girl you run into at school having a massive crush on him. Speaking of fangirls, the second character we quickly run into is a girl by the name of Lisa Silver. If you want to get a good feel for her character, basically think of a cross between Anne and Chie from Persona 5 and 4. Essentially an attractive white girl in an all-Japanese school, who also happens to really like kung fu. She's hot-headed and outgoing, and about 90% of her dialogue involves trying to get into Tatsuya's pants.
She arrives with a letter claiming that a girl from your school has been kidnapped by some thug from a place called Kasai. This thug, inevitably, turns out to be your next party member, a man by the name of Mishina Ekichi, although the game refers to him as Michel.
Oh, and this one time, at band camp?
Not that Michel. He's the idiot bro of the game, which simultaneously makes him the best and the worst character. After a short ride, Tatsuya and Lisa arrive to find out what sort of trouble Ekichi is causing. It, however, turns out to be not Ekichi, but Ekichi's bandmates who are responsible for the note. And the girl named Cozy was not so much kidnapped as invited. After everyone finds out that this was completely pointless, Tatsuya, Lisa, and Cozy all make to leave. Ekichi, however, realizing what his bandmates have done for him, moves to stop you. This prompts Lisa to let fly one of her most devastating insults. A deep blow cutting away at Ekichi's humanity, just showing how deeply depraved the human soul can go. Undiboss. After such a hurtful and direct attack on his manhood, Ekichi is left with only one option. Simply awaken the powers of an ancient god and drown that bitch. Fortunately for Lisa, Tatsuya and her both have their own gods and are able to defend themselves. And after a very, very short fight, they all pass out. Oh, of course, it just turns out that they have awakened to the power of persona. Sort of. More like they reawakened. It's complicated. The point is, they wake up in a strange room. A different dimension, if you will. Ruled over by an actual god, Philemon. He tells you a bunch of vague nothingness before offhandedly mentioning that rumors are coming true in the real world. Then I guess sends your souls back to your temporarily empty bodies. Once back, you all immediately realize that that wasn't a dream, that you all experienced it. So if that was real, was everything he said real? Lisa decides that the best way to test whether rumors are coming true is to play the Joker game. The Joker game is a strange rumor that has been going around, whereupon you call your own number, and a manic clown appears and grants your dream. If you don't answer him fast enough, however, he takes your soul. Which seems a touch terrifying to test out if it's true or not. Like, if I found out that all movie plots were coming true, I wouldn't start with saying Candyman in the mirror 5 times, if you catch my drift. So Lisa and Ekichi's 3 bandmates decide to try it. They all spin around in a circle, do a little chant, and then call their own number. And lo, 4 jokers appear, 1 for each of them. Everyone, shocked at 4 clowns appearing out of thin air, don't actually have any wishes ready. Thus, as the rumor promised, Joker steals their dreams, leaving them hollow husks, empty shells devoid of any purpose. Except for Lisa, who fell down? Seems like an easy loophole to get out of this, but whatever. In any event, with his business taken care of, Joker turns on you 3, summoning some demons to help him. It seems like he personally knows you, particularly Tatsuya. But just when he's about to finish you off, he realizes that none of you seem to recognize who he is. Thus, as quickly as he came, he leaves, threatening to kill you once you remember who he is, and what you did. Tatsuya, Ekichi, and Lisa now have a common goal. Find out who the fuck that was. And so your adventure begins. After bumming around town to find a couple weapons to help defend yourself, Cozy comes up to you and points out that supposedly the principal's been hanging out with a strange masked man. So you head back to your school. After dealing with some wandering demons and the odd walking statue, you arrive at the principal's office, hoping perhaps to find a clue about Joker. It's here that you meet her. Maya Amino. A funny, straightforward, helpful, slightly odd kind of person. The kind that makes you realize up until now you've been chasing girls instead of women. She's a reporter for a small magazine, and has also come to the school to investigate rumors about the Joker. She arrives with her assistant, Yukino Mayuzumi, who's brash and a bit quick-tempered, but generally level-headed. She's also probably the only character in the series who's not sexually attracted to Tatsuya. These 2 lovely ladies become the final 2 members of your party. You all agree to work together to find out information about the Joker. And so, after searching for some clues and destroying some school property, you arrive at the clock tower, where the principal is hiding. You also find a spooky ghost! And once again, your group can't help but feel like they recognize this ghost from somewhere in their past. But it's probably nothing. In any event, as the rumor said, the principal is here, with Joker, presumably having an argument about which one of them looks more out of place in a high school. Joker, noticing you, quickly disappears, leaving you to deal with the principal. After a ridiculously easy boss fight, the cornered principal decides to jump out the 4th-story window. Soon afterwards, a girl rushes up the stairs to ask what happened to the principal. Tatsuya, remembering that rumors are coming true, is left with a difficult decision. In any event, it feels like your group dynamic has been solidified and you really are a team. So it's off to find rumors about Joker. You visit a variety of locales, a nightclub, another school, an underground air raid shelter that's filled with kamikaze zombies, all equally normal. All this eventually leads to us discovering of a secretive group working for Joker, known as the Masked Circle. You don't know much about this shadowy organization, but you do know that they have a cult of fanatical followers, and their leaders seem to be based off the Zodiac. By manipulating some of Ekichi's former cronies, they seem to be trying to steal the dreams and souls of students of Kasai, using these sinister-looking skulls and mind lasers.
More power!
In any event, after another ridiculously easy boss fight, you manage to thwart their plans at Cuss High. But they are still at large. And thus your party's goal is made that much clearer. Stop the mass circle, and you stop Joker. But then the question arises, what are they going to do next? They just tried to suck the very essence out of a large group of high school children. What sort of dark deed could they possibly think up this time? Well, if you guess taking Lisa and turning her and two of her high school friends into pop idols, then you guessed correctly. I mean, I don't know why you thought that, but you guessed correctly. You see, what happened was, at some point in the past, Lisa and two of her friends had taken a photo together, and had written down on the photo that they all wished to become idols. The mass circle somehow found this photo and decided to grant that wish. The two girls, when offered to become idols by one of the members of the mass circle, both agreed, without Lisa's consent. When the group finds out about this, Lisa is 100% opposed to the idea and does not wish to be part of an idol group, claiming that her friends only want her to join because she's white with blonde hair. A point which is particularly emphasized when it turns out that their hit song that they're going to sing is in English, and Lisa doesn't speak a word of it. Maya, however, convinces her to go through with it, so that they can find out more about the mass circle. This leads to Lisa leaving your party, in order for her to prepare for her big debut. The rest of your group secretly enters the stadium where it's being held, pretending to be employees. It's here that you find out that once again the mass circle are trying to gather lots of people into one location, in order to drain them into one of these crystal skulls. You manage to evacuate the building, however, by telling the crowd that there are bombs under the seats. Because there actually are bombs under the seats, because the mass circle put them there.
Hey, not gonna lie. Dick move, guys. Dick move.
Because of you putting a stop to their plans and evacuating the building before they could drain them into one of the crystal skulls, two of the leaders of the mass circle confront you. The first being the man who is acting as Lisa's producer, Prince Taurus, and the second being a man you briefly met at Cuss High named King Leo. It's here that you really start to learn what the mass circle is actually trying to achieve. It seems that each leader, Prince Taurus, King Leo, and Lady Scorpio, who you also met briefly at Cuss High, has an objective that they need to perform. Lady Scorpio was tasked with training a bunch of students at Cuss High. Prince Taurus was tasked with gathering people together under a song and draining more people into a different crystal skull. And King Leo, it would seem, needs to create 4 pillars of flame, which explains what all the bombs are doing underneath the seats. The exact reason for them doing all of this is for something called the Oracle of Maya. What that exactly is, we'll have to wait for a later time, though. King Leo once again disappears, but not before letting you know that he's left a clue in this soon-to-be-burning stadium. A clue on where the next bomb shall be placed. Taurus takes this moment to try to put an end to your group. After yet another easy, if annoying, boss fight, Taurus also takes his leave, but not before taking a parting gift. The dreams of Lisa's 2 friends are also drained into the crystal skull. You don't have time to dwell on it, though, as those bombs are set to go and you need to find this clue that Leo said he left behind. You barely have enough time to track it down before escaping the building yourselves.
What the fuck?
Maya is in shock from the blast, seemingly from some past trauma involving fire. After taking the time to score a few good boy points with her, a strange woman shows up out of nowhere. It turns out she's a teacher from your school, and a bit of a nutcase. And yet, importantly, she seems to know something about the Oracle of Maya. But, when you press her on it, she immediately gets very defensive and leaves. Unfortunately, you don't really have time to follow her, as the more pressing issue of more bombs showing up in more buildings is still hanging in the air. After doing a bit of digging, you find that the first clue leads to an office building. After a quick search through the building to find the transmitter that would activate the bombs, you eventually come across a young girl who calls herself Ixquick, along with her, pet, Belphegor?
便座に座ってる悪魔の絵ですよね、それ。ベルフェゴールじゃないんですか？
We're also working for the mass circle. As is tradition, she puts up an easy boss fight. However, Maya, being the sweetheart that she is, takes pity on the girl, claiming that she's simply been led astray, and so you leave her be, take the transmitter, and stop the bombs from going off. You also find a clue onto where the next bomb will be placed. This time it's at a gym. Here, you meet Maya's roommate, Ulala, who graciously deals with the boss fight for you. As such, you find the next transmitter and the next clue without a whole lot of hassle. King Leo's next target is an Aerospace museum.
Upon arrival, King Leo immediately sets the museum ablaze. Unfortunately, it turns out an elementary school field trip is taking place, and a bunch of children have been stranded inside the museum. Your only option is to try to reach the roof of the building and save as many children as you can along the way. After climbing a few floors and saving some of the children, you come across someone unexpected. It's Ixquick, that girl you fought before, and she's in a difficult situation, so Maya, ever the good person, immediately opts to jump down and save her. With a bit of rope and some help from her team, she manages to bring the girl to safety. When suddenly... sensation. I've been here before. I've experienced this before. Ixquick is safe, but there's still some school children left in the building. After a hectic run, you manage to make it to the roof of the building with all the children. But, of course, King Leo is there, waiting for you. He accosts Maya and Tatsuya, claiming that they'll pay for what they did to him, removing his mask and revealing a hideous scar. You and Maya are once again confused, but before you can ask him any more, he pulls out another transmitter. The previous transmitters you destroyed were completely pointless, as he presses the button and blows up both the office building and the gym. He gives a few more cryptic hints about what exactly the Oracle of Maya means, before giving you a message from Joker himself. Remember that summer day 10 years ago. With his threats complete, and the building burning to ash, he moves to make his getaway, using Ixquick as a hostage. Why he doesn't use the weird teleportation power that they've used up until now to move everywhere, I don't know. No, he instead plans to use the much more obvious form of transportation. A blimp, which, thanks to the elementary school kids' rumors, is fully operational. However, before he can make it far, a hole opens up in the roof underneath him, and he falls to one of the lower floors. Seeing that you now have a plausible escape route, you gather all the children and board the blimp. In spite of Maya's, expressive blimp driving, the blimp begins to fall towards the sea. To make matters worse, it seems King Leo survived and managed to stow away on the blimp while you were boarding the children. He's lost his usual bravado, and has descended into more of a madness, cackling madly as he attacks you. This leads into, say it with me now, an easy boss fight. But you seem to have finally put an end to King Leo for good. You don't have much time to celebrate, though, as there's still that small matter of a blimp crashing into the sea. Your group's only option is to grab a pair of children each, and jump from the moving blimp into the water below. Amazingly, everyone survives and you end up on a beach, whereupon your group receives 2 phone calls. The first is good news, and tells you that a detective that you've been working with has managed to track down that crazy teacher that knew about the Oracle of Maya, Miss Ideal. The second is bad news. Maya's roommate calls and tells you that the police have been looking for you. A rumor has been going around that you are the mass circle, and you're the ones who've been placing bombs all over town. Fortunately for you, Maya has a plan. Using the dozens of elementary school children that you just saved from this burning building, you spread a rumor of your own claiming that you're the ones trying to stop the bombs, not the ones starting them. You're not exactly sure how 2 conflicting rumors will play out. So, you decide to split up briefly with plans to meet up at the detective agency. Lisa, however, opts to stick with you. She's been acting a little strange ever since that fight with King Leo, huh? Anyway, once you arrive, you find that Ekichi and Yukino are already there. Right as you arrive, a news broadcast starts up. It seems that the ruse did work, as the rumors of you being terrorists and you being counter-terrorists seems to be canceling each other out. However, it seems there's another rumor going around as well. One that the mass circle might be something called the Lost Battalion, under the leadership of the Führer.
Who's this then? Stuff you, but I'll do that for any more.
The crazy teacher jumps at this revelation, claiming that the Lost Battalion is real and must be stopped. Your group, naturally, is skeptical. Fortunately for you, Maya arrives at this moment. Maya's looking really normal today, really sending me some good vibes. In any event, now that you're all here, it's time to finally get some goddamn information about the Oracle of Maya. What exactly it means, what the Mass Circle plans to do with it. Well, you see, the Oracle of Maya is an ancient prophecy from the Mayans that will lead to the ancient city called Xibalba. Here, an alien race will help humanity evolve into a higher being, a form known as an Idelian, whereupon we will understand every mystery that the universe has to offer. While the majority of the human race will perish, the chosen few will achieve a level of sentience that no other human being would ever be able to possibly achieve on their own.
No, okay, I'm not saying it's space aliens, right? But it goes without saying it's fucking space aliens!
Maya says the funniest things. In any event, the important part to take away from all of this is that the Mass Circle have been following the Oracle to a T. To make matters worse, they've been handing out copies of the book that Miss Ideal has, a book known as In Lakech, which is where these rumors of the Lost Battalion have been coming from. It's at this moment, however, that Lisa decides to speak up. Something has been on her mind ever since the fight with King Leo. She claims to know everything. About the Mass Circle, about Joker, everything. She asks you all to come to a mountainside shrine where she can explain things better. And so you go to a somewhat familiar-looking shrine. Lisa starts by talking about an old legend, about how this shrine burned to the ground and a small girl died while inside. Ekichi is quick to brush it off, but you can see that he too is starting to become uncertain. It's at this moment that a face you haven't seen for quite a long time decides to appear. It's Philemon. He once again calls you back to his ethereal plane, where he gives you some advice. He tells you to climb the mountain behind the shrine, whereupon you'll learn of your past. However, he also cautions you to not get lost in your past. And so you enter the mountainside, ready for whatever answers await. Okay. Ekichi, Lisa, and Tatsuya, along with a boy named Jun, were all a bunch of dorky kids who were going through some problems in their life. One day, they happened to all meet up at a festival where they all happened to be wearing the same masks from the same Power Ranger-style TV show. Wanting to find a place to avoid their troubles, they decided to form a group, and they called it the Mass Circle, where they spent most of their time just playing games, doing kid stuff, and avoiding their worries. One day, when they were playing at their usual spot, they came across a girl who was a few years older than them. She was pretty friendly, and the group took an instant liking to her, giving her the nickname Big Sis. Everything went well at first, but eventually the end of the summer came, and Big Sis revealed that she had to leave because her family was moving. The kids were all heartbroken and tried to find some way that they could make her stay. But that's when Lisa got an idea. A terrible one. Lisa breaks away from the memories. She and Ekichi both fully remember what happened. In order to stop Big Sis from leaving, they would lock her in the shrine overnight so that she couldn't leave. A shrine that burned down that very same night. That explains it all. That night, the fire, the screams. I was against it. I was locked in as well. And because of my powerlessness, Big Sis, she... But don't you see, Lisa cries out. She's not dead. She's just out for revenge. Because Big Sis is Joker.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Okay, a simple wrong would have done just fine, but...
No, despite everyone's vivid memories, it turns out that that's not exactly how it happened. Maya was Big Sis. And to add to the drama, it turns out that the Maya you've been traveling with so far was an imposter! Surprise, I know. To help clear things up, the real Maya appears from, wherever she was, and bats away her imposter, her doppelganger, her shadow, if you will. Huh, that'd be an interesting idea to base a game around. In any event, Joker also appears, and Maya reveals the other truth, that he is Jun. the final member of the mass circle. Maya tries to convince Joker that everything up until now has been a mistake, that they've all been operating under false memories, clouded by the events that happened that night. While a bunch of kids may have made some dumb mistake, no one had actually died that night. They'd all simply just forgotten the truth through various reasons. The trauma from the fire had caused Maya to repress the memories, the trauma from getting stabbed by the arsonist had caused Tatsuya to lose his, and Lisa and Ekichi bottled their fear so deep inside that they managed to think it was just a dream. Joker starts to lose his cool at Maya's claim, and orders her shadow to kill them, before disappearing himself. After an easy boss fight, your group turns to one another. Despite having traveled together all this time, it feels like you're just meeting again for the first time. It's a touching moment. But there's still work to be done. There's one member of the mass circle still missing. Your group sets out with a renewed vigor, a goal if you will, one to save Jun and bring him back to the person he was. Unfortunately, as you make to leave the temple, the last battalion rains from the sky, the rumor of their existence fully realized. Miss Ideal calls to inform you on their destination. They're on their way to a temple atop a mountain, where they will truly be able to realize the Oracle of Maya. To make matters worse, it turns out that Yukino's co-worker, / crush, is working at that mountain currently, so it's off to a different mountain. After battling through wave after wave of Nazi soldiers, you eventually reach the summit of the mountain. Once there, you find a group of them, standing over the corpses of many mass circle cultists. Most of them enter the temple, but a couple super soldiers stay behind. You quickly introduce them to your personas, but after an easy fight, you hear a faint voice. It's Yukino's co-worker, and he's fatally wounded. You're too late to do anything to save him, and he passes on in her arms. Yukino is devastated and asks to be left behind. Tatsuya, however, with a bit of tough love, helps her realize something. That she shouldn't let his death weigh her down. She should honor his memory and use his emotions to make herself a better person. Her resolve is powerful enough that she awakens to a new power inside of her. Philemon appears before you to grant her a new persona. And so you enter the temple to track down Joker and put a stop to the last battalion. As such, the place is crawling with both cultists and Nazis. They too seem to be at each other's throats, but that won't stop them from attacking you as well. Eventually, you come across a familiar face, one Lady Scorpio. She's about to get trounced by another group of Nazi super soldiers when your group shows up to help bail her out. After the fight and getting Scorpio back on her feet, you meet another familiar face, Yukino's. Or should I say, Yukino's shadow. She lays into Yukino, claiming that she's full of shit, that she always took the easy way no matter what, and she'll never achieve her true dreams. Yukino, however, has the strength to stand up to her shadow, and admits that while that may be a part of her, not giving into the despair of failure is what makes her human. I swear that sounds familiar. In any case, she and Lady Scorpio opt to stay behind, telling the rest of the group to go and save Jun. You arrive at the center of the temple to find Joker, accompanied by the 3 remaining shadows, and a woman you've never seen before named Queen Aquarius. They are staring down the Fuhrer and an army of Nazis. After a bit of banter between the two parties, Joker uses the power of the Crystal Skulls and summons the ancient city Xibalba. The Fuhrer sends one of his men to grab one of the Crystal Skulls. Queen Aquarius steps in to shield Joker from the advancing soldier, and falls herself in the process. But the soldier still manages to grab one of the skulls. His goal complete, the Fuhrer leaves, claiming that everyone best follow suit, as the temple, its goal achieved, is now crumbling to dust. Joker sends the remaining shadows to go deal with the Nazis, then turns to deal with your party himself. However, it seems that both Jun and Joker are starting to become at odds with each other. In a confused rage, he attacks your party, in what is one of the most difficult and complex boss fights in the game. I'm just messing with you, it's easy. Yukino arrives after the fight is over, just in time to hear an otherworldly voice. It speaks to Joker. It offers power. Power unlike anything any of you have experienced before. And lo, Joker attacks your party once more, now with the power granted to him by an elder god. It's easy. Now, at last, you have defeated the entity known as Joker, and set Jun free. But you're not out of the woods yet. Jun's, father appears before you. He tries to incite Jun, trying to get him to become the Joker once more, trying to get him to finish what the mass circle started. Jun, however, his memories restored, brushes him off, claiming that this isn't what he wanted. His father simply shrugs, taking Jun's power from him, before disappearing, planning to finish what Joker started himself. With the temple still crumbling around you, you end up being saved by Philemon. While in his domain, Yukino offers to grant her power of persona to Jun, so that he can help your group overcome his father. Philemon agrees that that's totally a thing, and you have your last party member. He's a kind-hearted, soft-spoken kind of guy, with just a bit of a thing for Tatsuya.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No, of course not.
I joke, but he probably is one of the most genuine depictions of a homosexual person in a video game. Especially in JRPGs, where a lot of the time it falls into pretty base stereotypes.
Hot stuff coming through.
I'm getting off topic here. Since Jun was the leader of the mass circle, you know exactly what you need to do. Each of the remaining crystal skulls have been placed in a temple somewhere around the city. You must go to each 4 temples and retrieve those crystal skulls, before heading to the city of Xibalba itself. The first is the Aquarius Temple. Here, you find some Nazi super soldiers, kick their ass and take their skull. Next, it's the Scorpio Temple. Here you find Ekichi's shadow, who's with a much slimmer Cozy. The shadow recounts her tale. As a young boy, Ekichi was overweight, and constantly picked on by his peers. Cozy, not wanting him to feel self-conscious, decided that she would put on some weight so that they could be the same. After, when she packed on the pounds and met him a few years later, he had gotten much slimmer, and gained a massive ego to boot. Cozy, feeling ashamed, hid her identity from him, fearing that he wouldn't care for her anymore. As such, while you were out journeying, she ended up joining the mass circle, wishing that she would become thin again. The shadow laughs, claiming that he's just a better version of Ekichi, claiming that the real one is too much of a self-centered loser to be able to provide what she needs. Ekichi, not standing for any of this, moves to stop his shadow's courtly advances. After a short fight, you beat the shadow and save Cozy. Ekichi confesses that she was the only girl who never made fun of him when he was a kid, that he had loved her from the beginning, and that no matter what she looked like, he would have loved her all the same. Another temple, another skull. Next is Taurus' temple. Here you meet Shadow Lisa. She throws out a lot of dark secrets from Lisa's past. How she used drugs, how she used her friends, and how she used older men to get money. She ends it off by saying that despite all the complaining she does about how her blonde hair brings her nothing but trouble, she loves the attention it brings. Even her long-standing crush on Tatsuya was simply because he was the most popular boy in school. Lisa, however, has the strength to accept the mistakes of her past, and the ability to move on from there. She finishes it off by saying that even though Tatsuya may never return her feelings for him, she's always loved him, and ever since she was a little girl, she's always dreamed of growing up and marrying him. Afterwards, you get a cute scene where you get to decide who Tatsuya has a crush on. But the important thing is, Lisa has grown up, and you now have the 3rd skull. Brings us to the 4th and final temple, the Leo Temple. Here you find Tatsuya's shadow. It's not quite as juicy as the other two shadows. Basically, he just says that Tatsuya is weak-minded, and that he hasn't forgiven Jun for what he did as Joker. Tatsuya gives his usual multiple-choice response before fighting. A few minutes later, and you've won, and you've claimed your final skull. But first, Jun apologizes, claiming that he wouldn't blame Tatsuya for hating him. Of course, the rest of your group all agrees they don't hate Jun, that if they were put in the same situation, they may very well have done the same thing. So now all that's left is to head to the lost city of Xibalba. After some wacky antics with Maya's driving and a long-ass boat ride, you arrive at the entrance of Xibalba, then wonder aloud what sort of traps could possibly be waiting for you inside. Tatsuya suggests lasers. I mean, it's an alien ship after all, so you go inside, whereupon you're met with, would you believe it, lasers. In any case, the place is eerie. Everything is gold, and a strange atmosphere hangs in the air. The first room you arrive in is a bunch of dead mass circle members, along with the charred remains of one Prince Taurus, seemingly killed by one of the traps inside. The next brings up a vision of Maya's past. It shows her as a young girl, talking to her father for the last time. It was the most painful memory of her life. But it's also the reason why she continues to fight, and why she became a reporter in the first place. You give her a shoulder to cry on, before carrying on. Next, we see a seemingly innocuous scene. We see the members of your group as children once more, leaving from a usual playdate. One by one, their parents take them home, leaving just Jun and Maya at the end. Maya asks if his mom is coming to pick him up, to which he replies that his mom doesn't particularly care for him, but his dad is great. So, Maya offers to walk him home. But just when they're about to leave, Jun's father appears, although young Jun seems to claim that he's his uncle. After the scene plays out, Jun seems distraught, but brushes it off and claims that they should just keep going. Eventually, your group arrives in an empty room, exhausted, and frustrated that they found little trace of the mass circle or the last battalion. Maya comes up with an odd question. Exactly how long do they think it'll take before they find something? Everyone comes up with a different response, so she asks Tatsuya to be the tiebreaker. You agree with Maya and say that you think that there'll be something around the next corner, and in the very next room you run into a group of Nazi super soldiers. After trouncing them, Maya says she's beginning to figure out how this place works, but she's still not 100% and thinks it's best to keep it to herself for now. However, she also says that she is 100% certain that Jun's father will be very close. So you go to the next room, and nothing. Maya shakes her head, claiming she still can't figure out the pattern. The rest of the group press her to explain, so she finally divulges the secret of Xibalba. Your thoughts are becoming reality, hence why there were laser traps after you mentioned laser traps, and why you found the last battalion right after you talked about them. But it doesn't seem exact, as you weren't able to find Jun's father even though Maya was thinking heavily about finding him in the next room. Your group tries making a few things reality. Ekichi concentrates on being a superstar, while Lisa concentrates on you falling in love with her. Neither work, and Maya says she's still not sure what the exact pattern is. But she says that they might be related to some sort of emotion, so she suggests that you don't think of anything scary.
I couldn't help it. It just popped in there.
What? What just popped in there?
I tried to think.
Look!
No! It can't be.
What is it?
It can't be.
What did you do, Ray? Oh, shit!
It's the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
And so you're confronted with Ekichi's greatest fear, his dad. You quickly drive him off, though, and continue on your journey. The next room brings a similar scene to the one before, one of your young group waiting for your parents. The sight of this scene starts to bring up memories in Jun of his mother, and much like Ekichi, you too are confronted by a golden version of her. She claims that Jun and his father were always a burden on her for attacking your group, but she's no match for your party's might and you defeat her. Your group helps to calm Jun down after the fight. He seems to have gained a bit more insight into what exactly happened during his childhood, and who it is we're exactly chasing. The next room is different than the ones before. Bigger, whiter, with a giant, strange device in the middle. You also find Miss Ideal here, standing in front of the device, which contains...
Game over, man! It's game over!
Jun confronts her, claiming that the whole Oracle of Maya was just a delusion created by her and his father. His dead father. Miss Ideal laughs, calling Jun's mother a shrew and claiming that she was the only one who ever understood his father's ideals. The aliens wake up and knock her unconscious before turning on your party. You quickly stomp them before checking on Miss Ideal, and she seems alive. So, Lisa asks the question that everyone's been thinking. If your father's dead, then who have we been chasing? Maya comes up with the answer. Back 10 years ago, when they were still kids, Jun, rejected by his mother and ashamed of his dead father, created a story about the best father who ever lived. The rest of your group, having never met him, started to spread rumors about what exactly he was like. The being that we're chasing is the shadow that was created by those rumors all those years ago. She also adds another note, however. It feels like an entity has been following them for many years. One of malice and hatred. One responsible for making rumors become reality. In any case, you still have to keep going. And so you arrive at the final room, seemingly in outer space. It seems familiar, but you don't have time to think about it though, as who should appear but the Führer.
Hitler. Oddly enough.
You demand he hand over the final crystal skull, to which he obliges. He claims it was a pointless item all along, then attacks your party before explaining himself. You beat him handily, and he reveals that he was in fact the being masquerading as Jun's father all along. He welcomes you to his realm, claiming that it is where all human consciousness culminates, where the human ego is born, and where it returns. Your group demands that he explain who he is, but he simply brushes them off, claiming just to be Jun's father. Jun denies it, but the entity simply shakes its head. Jun yearned for a parent, one who didn't shun him like his mother, or die for a useless cause like his father. So he simply fulfilled that role, and with that comment, he brings out both Jun's mother and father, revealing that Jun's mother was Queen Aquarius, who had joined the mass circle to gain eternal youth. Only in her last moments had she felt remorse for what she had done to Jun. The two of them turned to Jun, and both apologized for the way they behaved. The entity laughs, claiming that this was Jun's ultimate wish. With a simple wave of his hand, his two parents vanish into the ether. Your party turns. This is it. This is the final confrontation. You're going to face the thing that has been controlling every aspect of your life from the beginning of this game. Put an end to all the wrong that has come before. What awaits you is a twisted and hideous abomination. A culmination known as the Great Father. In it is a representation of each of your party members' fathers. They represent Maya and Jun's feeling of abandonment from their father's deaths, and Ekichi and Lisa's feeling of oppression by their father's overbearing will. And Tatsuya's... Tatsuya doesn't get daddy issues. In any event, this is it. For one last time, you call on your personas to take on the ultimate battle. The battle is over, but who should appear but Philemon? He confronts the entity, finally giving him a name. Nyarlathotep, the Crawling Chaos. It turns out that the events of this story were nothing more than, for lack of a better term, a game. Philemon and Nyarlathotep had set out from the beginning to test the resolve of humanity. The two were beings created by the consciousness of humanity. Philemon was one who would lead the souls of the strong and powerful. Nyarlathotep was the one who would prey on the souls of the weak. Maya calls them out. How could all of this have just been some pointless game? Nyarlathotep responds. Blood pours endlessly from Maya's wound. Your party tries to stem the bleeding, but to no avail. Nyarlathotep explains that this spear was the one rumored to have stabbed Christ on the cross. An ancient rumor, a powerful rumor. Your group has no power to stop this. Maya dies in Tatsuya's arms. Nyarlathotep throws salt on an open wound. He laughs at Maya's last words before granting his final wish. The destruction of humanity. His goal achieved, he vanishes, leaving your party lost and confused. Your only option is to, once again, turn to Philemon for an answer. This all began 10 years ago, when a bunch of kids started hanging out together at a shrine. If that moment were to cease to exist, if it were erased from time itself, this could be avoided. Philemon, using the power that humanity gave to him, could grant that. He would lose all memories of this journey and each other, and return to a world that existed as if that night had never happened. It's a high price, but there's not much to discuss if it means saving the world. And Maya. One by one, your party disappears as Philemon prepares to erase that moment from time. Until it's just him and Tatsuya left in the room.
You know what? I'm glad we met again. Next time, you're gonna join my band, got that? It's a promise. Don't forget.
Chinyam, remember me, no matter what. I love you.
I won't forget. Not my sin, not you, not anyone. We'll meet again, and together we'll save Maya. So, I won't say goodbye, only thank you.
We open on a boy named Tatsuya, our protagonist, working on a motorcycle. He is being spied on by a girl and her two friends named Lisa, who seemingly has a crush on him. Next, we cut to a boy named Ekichi, who's hanging out with his bandmates and girlfriend. After that, we see a boy named Jun hanging out with his mother. We cut to a tall building, where all the aforementioned members just happen to be walking by. At that moment, a girl in a gray sweater and cap happens to run out to the sidewalk. Tatsuya moves to walk past her when... suddenly...
裸のままの自分が幻覚感じて心を通わせて一人で歩く少女人と同じ瞬間に笑うのが嫌いだから愛って言葉がなくならないように舞い降りた天使今すぐにだってあげ
Thank you.